Good evening and welcome to the Australian Stock Market Show. The All Ordinaries Index is now finally moving in a positive direction and looking quite exciting. So, will the rise continue? Well, we'll answer that in just a few minutes. Tonight we aim to help you make sense of the current market, and we'll get into our take on the sectors in the Australian stock market. For our main topic in tonight's show, we get into the top 5 mining stocks for growth and dividend income in 2024. First up tonight, we'll share our hot stock tip, so sit back and relax. Tonight will be jam-packed as we answer your emails, take your phone calls, and give you the answers to some of the most important questions around the stock market. Hello and welcome to the Australian Stock Market Show. Now tonight we're going to cover a very special, interesting stocks including BHP, Rio, Mineral Resources, Northern Star and many more. I'm Dale Gillham, your host for tonight, and joining me is Pedro and we're Australia's most trusted stock market educators.
Good evening, I'm glad to be back on the show. Now Dale, with Janine not here and this being our last show for the year, it's up to you to bring the Christmas spirit.
Well, yes, normally she tries to get me to wear a Santa hat. However, this year instead, I have my Santa tie, and if I push this...
That's the Christmas spirit.
It plays Jingle Bells. Are you happy with that?
I think Janine will be very happy with that, yeah. Can't deny it.
I can't be the Grinch, can I?
No, unfortunately you've made me the Grinch tonight, so they're very good.
I'll put it away before it gets too distracting for you.
Yep, right now, is that going to be playing throughout the whole?
My stomach's actually playing music now. It's all over.
There you go, there you go. All right, so tonight we'll get into the top 5 mining stocks for growth and dividend income in 2024. So stay tuned as we'll get into that and much more very soon. But first, we need to get into this week's hot stock tip.
Well, we do. On your screen right now is Market Index, and we've got our stock for this week is Boral. So we're going to have a bit of a look at that. And this is a top 100 stock.
Yes.
And it is looking good. It's around $5. And I know we're going to talk about some of the timing on it when we get into the charts, but it doesn't pay a dividend yield as it says right here. PE ratio is quite high at 34.97 compared to lots of other stock. $5.5 billion and done really well this year, up 66.67%.
Yep. It's at the top of the 52-week range, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's the top of its 52-week range, but to me, that's a pretty stellar return that we've actually seen in here. So if we go down, you can see that rise all the way through here on this one. But it is in building products, international building products, construction materials, with 3 strong divisions: Boral Australia, USG Boral, and Boral North America. So basically building and construction materials. But yeah, it's looking at some of this, it's looking pretty good, isn't it? Like,
it is. I'd be happy with those returns, definitely. And I think it's in a good space, especially with how much the government is looking to spend on infrastructure.
Correct. Building houses, all of those sorts of things as well. Billions of dollars going into that. Obviously, with its EPS, we really can't tell. It's 14 cents is the EPS, but it's not really telling us about what their forward projections is. But I always love this broker consensus, having a look at that. What do you think about that stuff?
Well, I'd like to just leave that in my past, because that's something that I used to look at before I learned to trade, and I used to just go off that. And if most of the consensus said buy, I would say, yep, that's my signal, buy.
So right now you'd be selling.
So now I'd be selling. I'd be saying,
because there's 8 sells, 6 holds, and 3 buys. Now it's interesting how they all do the same research, but they come up with the different outcomes.
That's right. I'd be interested to know what actually went into that.
Well, let's go and have a look at the chart, and we can see what we're thinking at the moment. Now I'm going to bring up the monthly chart. Did you want to start talking about some of this on the chart?
Yes, definitely. So
I know you did some of the work.
I did. Yeah, I might take some credit for that. So the first thing that we can see, let's zoom into this first area here. So this first section from 1987, which was that huge crash that we had, all the way to the 2000 low. We've got 12 years and 6 months. Now, if we go to this next period here, from the 2000 low down to the 2012 low, we've got 12 years. Now, we've had from this 2012 low down to the 2022 low, we've got 10 years and 3 months. Another interesting thing, before we get to the timing of it, 67.9% down from the high of 2006 to the 2012, and 69.1% down from the high of 2018 to the low of 2022.
So
now, coincidence or?
Well, I just think it's interesting because on both cases, that was the low coming off the GFC. So March 2009, that's when the market bottomed, and obviously this one here, and then it moved up, came back and made a higher low. Here it did this one. This one is obviously March 2020, so COVID. So that was the COVID low, so a major type of meltdown on the market. It moved up and then came down and made a higher low.
Right.
And it was like really strange. But what I've got on here is just a little bit here. It says 10 years and 3 months is to that low. But this blue area here, this 1st of June 2024 is 12 years. So right now it's moving up quite nicely, as you can see there. But
a lot of green bars. Well, it's looking like it may be overheated at the moment. Just a little bit. A lot of green bars. You don't usually see that besides after the coming from the 2020 low. You saw a lot of green bars, and then it had that huge crash on that outside bar down to the 22 low. So it could be starting a new cycle, or it could be going down to that 12-year cycle like you've marked there.
At the moment it's on our hot list. We are looking at it because it has done so well, as you saw. But I think we might get a little bit of easing off for a month or two, and then it could be another big riser right through 2024. So I do like it.
I like it as well.
Cool.
Yeah, it's very orderly. That's it for our weekly hot stock tip. Shortly we'll get into our topic for the night. But before we do, right now is your opportunity to get involved in the show and have your questions answered. Remember, we prioritise phone callers, so call now on 03 9290 9988. That's 03 9290 9988. Or you can text your questions to the number on your screen now.
Now, the first caller into the show right now gets a free copy of my book, Accelerate Your Wealth. It's your money, your choice. So pick up your phone and do what Pedro said, dial 03 9290 9988 right now. Now, while you do that, tonight is the second Tuesday in the month, which means we take a look at the sectors in the Australian market. So let's get into those charts.
Okay, on your screen right now is a watch list of the sectors in the All Ordinaries Index.
So what have we got this set on? So you've got it set on monthly. So this is what they've done last week and or the last maybe 2 weeks of the month at the moment. So pretty much everything's up except energy down 2.68%.
And energy was the standout earlier on in the year. So
it was much more the standout. Yeah. What I'm excited more about is financial, up 1.3, and then whereas materials, it's come back a little bit the last week or so, but that was up around 1 to 2% as well last week. It was a really, really good week last week. So when these two are moving, the whole market's moving. So at the moment, I know Janine and I have been chatting about consumer discretionary, it's looking good, but let's go and have a look at the yearly before we move on, and you look at that, technology's up 50.92%. Now that's flown the last few weeks from that. And obviously it's a top-heavy sector, that one. Communication services has done well, 45. And consumer discretionary has really, really done really well. But utilities, energy... Yeah.
You'd be thinking that would be doing better with the cost of electricity at the moment, right?
Well, you would think, yeah, absolutely. You would be thinking they'd be doing better, but this is what I like to see: financials and materials now running there. I do like that. So they're both running neck and neck, and obviously those two sectors make up roughly half of our market. So if they're not running together, then the market's either flat or it's going down.
And they are running very similar, 5.82 and 5.71.
So do you want one to look at? What's your pick?
Well, my pick would be materials. That's our one for today, but we're going to be having a look at some stocks within that. So let's have a look at the materials sector as a whole.
As a whole. So let's have a look at the material sector briefly, have a look at that. So if you look at this and you see here, we've had this bit of a pullback down into this low here in last week. This is obviously a daily chart. Let me go and put it on a weekly chart. I forgot to check that. So it has got a little bit of resistance through around this sort of 900 point level, but I like it. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4 months, 5 months up there, just stalling a little bit. But I think once it gets through these levels, through here, somewhere around this sort of 800-900 mark, I think this is going to take off, and I think we're going to show a lot more people, a lot more, we're going to show a lot to everybody who's watching
what goes
later
into
on
that
in the show about materials and what the stocks we should be looking at from there.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like it has been going sideways. It's been trading in a bit of a range, and it may be that it's a little bit scared to reach that top again. It's already been rejected twice. So, like you said, if it does get through it, it's all upside.
I'm really loving this. Is a really nice strong move. If we use our little tool here, and you can see the move is over 12%. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's a little bit slower for the next few weeks, because obviously Christmas, volume drops on our marketplace. But into January, I think once everybody gets back and the brokers are back, I think this could be a real takeoff sector. And I do like financials as well. They're the two ones that I like for the coming year, and there's some good stocks in those financials looking really good.
I agree. I'm very excited about the materials sector, which we'll see later on.
Fantastic.
Okay, so that's it for our thoughts on the sectors in the Australian stock market. Before we get into the first email, remember, this is the last show of the year. And so to get your questions answered live on air, you will need to text or call into the show. You can also send your questions to info@wealthwithin.com.au, and we will answer it when we come back in 2024. Now let's get into our first question.
Alrighty, this is our first email. It's from Stuart, who is a man of very few words. As he writes, love to have your comment on SVL or Silver Lake Resources. So, very few words indeed. Normally, Stuart, mate, we like a few more words than that, like do you own it, do you not own it? Are you looking to hold it short, medium and long term? And any comments you might have on why you're liking it and why you're asking us to look at it. But this is probably your first email into the show, so thank you for sending that in. So now we've got the stock on the screen and we'll have a bit of a look at it. What do you reckon?
All right, so on the left we've got the monthly chart, on the right we've got the weekly. Now I'm going to stay on the monthly chart because the weekly chart looks a little bit off.
Silver
to
mines,
me.
it's quite a liquid, isn't it?
It is quite illiquid on the weekly. You can see, for the viewers having a look, see if you can notice the difference between the types of bars on the right hand side, which is the weekly chart, and the left hand side on the monthly. Totally different.
I could tell you what I think of it, but it'd probably get bleeped out.
Yeah, I think we'll stay. You want to stay, censored for the show, and especially given the tie.
Well, I've got the tie on, so I have to be nice.
You have to be nice.
I have to ho.
Now let's expand it a little bit. Now look at that. It's it IPO'd back in 2012. That's if it was even Silver Mines back then. I'm not sure.
It could have been
could have been. But now it's really down.
We need to be a trader of this stock, and you need to have really good solid rules on it, because it is quite volatile. When you look at this is a monthly chart, and here we are last month, we got 38 million shares at 17 cents. So you don't need to be a genius to get a $2 calculator out and just work out how many dollars that is in a whole month.
Exactly.
So looking at it on a daily basis, if we go through there, look at that, 2 days ago, 1 million shares at 16 cents. That's a few $100,000. And so it's one of those ones that you need to be very good at trading and looking at very strong rules around getting early entries and early exits on it. Otherwise, you'll do your dough on it. But I don't like it at the moment.
I agree, and I just want to overlay quickly the price of silver on top of it, just to see if it does track the silver price. It does look like it tracks it, but it's gone down while
it's deviating from it.
It's deviating.
It's deviating from it.
So,
all right, Pedro, we do have a caller now. So is that all for Silver Mines?
That's all for Silver Mines.
All right, we've got a caller on the phone. Welcome to the Australian Stock Market Show. You're on with Dale and Pedro. Is that Jenny?
Yes, it is. Hi, guys.
Welcome to the show, Jenny. Glad to have you on.
Thank you. I was curious to know what your thoughts were on SYR.
Yep.
I've been following them since the China announcement with the graphite band.
Yep.
And I wanted to see, is there any concern that they have not filled the gap that's to the left? It's almost, but have not yet.
Yep. And do you own that at the moment?
No.
Okay,
no,
so
but I
you're
do want to
looking
get
to buy
into it.
Okay. You're looking short, medium, long term?
Short term, medium term.
Okay, short to medium term. Fantastic. Well, Pedro's got it up, so we'll have a good look at it. Thank you for calling into the show.
Thanks, Amy.
Pedro,
Okay, not...
So gap.
Gap, yep. I can see the gap on the weekly that you're talking about, Sammy. Let's expand it up. We'll zoom into that area there. I'm just going to keep the aspect the same so then we can have a look. I think that it's going to go down and fill it. This last bar, it's showing...
well, it's only 2 days, so that's yesterday and today.
That's correct, that's true, but...
I'm glad I'm okay on that one.
Yeah, I'll give you that one. Let's see, the high of that gap is 53 cents, and the last low was 55. So it's only a couple of cents deviation. It could go back and fill it. Now, a good way to tell that is to see the history of the stock and see if it does have a history of filling gaps. And how
quickly it fills the gap.
And how quickly it does it. So we've got this last gap, and this is a gap again on the down. Or actually, this is on the downside, and it filled it within 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Now we've got another gap here, and it filled it within a few weeks. We've got another gap back here, back in 2022. It filled it within 5-6 weeks.
So generally it's filling its gap. So that's what I'd be erring on the cautious side with this sort of stock at the moment.
Yep.
So, and obviously that gap took a long time for it to fill, but it did fill. So at the moment, I think with Jenny, it's probably better stocks for you to trade. And it looks like a real trading stock to me, Jenny. So I think it's one that you really need to have some really good rules on it. And I think it'd be more short term rather than more medium term on those sorts of things. So as long as you've got some rules on it, but I don't think you're going to get a buy out of this. Yeah. For a while, actually, probably a good month, maybe even 2 months before you get that. But thank you for calling into the show. Now, if you want to be like Jenny, pick up the phone and give us a call, 92909999. Now we have an email from Sammy who says, "Hi, sir." He might be talking about you. Could you please say something about Woodside? Now, today it's performing at $29.90 something. It's already hit its 52-week low. Is that a buy or a sell, Sammy, or regards Sammy? So, a couple of questions here. He said it's hit the 52-week buy or sell, buy or low. Do you take any notice of that?
No, definitely not.
And why?
Well, the 52-week low really doesn't tell me anything. It's just telling me price relative to 52 weeks.
I think it's a market employed by stockbrokers to get people to watch it, so they go, here, a 52-week low,
it's cheap.
buy.
They're trying to tell you that it's cheap relative to what it was before, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's not going to go even cheaper.
Correct.
And it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go up.
Because its 52-week low could be next week too, and its 52-week low could be the week after, and the week after, and the week after. And the same with 52 weeks highs as well. It does the opposite on a bull run.
Yep. So I wouldn't be looking at that.
So looking at the chart?
Looking at the chart, we'll start off with the monthly on the left. Let's expand that up. It's had a huge drop here. Let's see how, where have you got your
I've
your
got
price?
you confused, haven't I?
No, I haven't got
You
mine.
really are channeling Janine, aren't you?
Yeah.
She gets lost.
There we go. Well, I think I'm going to have to put these in order for you guys. So we've got 26% down. Now, why is that? Why has Woodside dropped so much? That's the question. I know it might be tempting to say, look, it's cheap because it is a good stock. It's a big company.
Well, it is absolutely.
But let's expand that out. See the bigger picture. It could be just just a bit of a correction at the moment, and I actually do like this stock, but I wouldn't be buying into it at the moment.
Well, you've got a lot of resistance up around that sort of area through here, so there's a lot of resistance that's come off that, and as you said, it's down reasonable from that high. They're down 26.31%. It is possible this is the low. It's a bit too early to tell. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4 months down. This low here at 28.76 is below that one, so there's 29.58, little bit above that one there, that 28.50, so just slightly above it. So just be a little bit careful at the moment. But if we go to the weekly
it has
chart,
closed a little bit more towards the upside. So
well, it has, but I'm not getting too excited because we really only got we're only 10 days into the month, or 8 or 9 trading days into the month. So, and you can see this on the weekly chart. Last week was really down solidly, came back, and this week so far, the last 2 days has been up a little bit. So you'd expect when you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks down, you're going to get 1 or 2 weeks up.
You might.
What we want to try and avoid at the moment is something like that, where you get this suckers rally, only for it to tank again. So I'd really want to see it move up, get a little bit of space through there, some nice bullish movement, some more increased volume, and then for it to make a higher high before I'd get too excited about it.
Yeah,
So that's
I
where I'm at.
agree. This is where people might get tempted to dollar cost average.
Or buy because it's cheap.
Or buy because it's cheap.
Or buy in
yeah.
the dip. Which
Just
I
be
see
patient.
people do it. Yeah, and it is because you get people buying the dips in here, and then it goes up, and then it falls away again, and they go, "Oh, why did I buy it there?"
So which dip?
Which
How many
dip?
dips are you going to buy?
And when is a dip not a dip?
Yeah.
Which is one of my favourite things. And to me, at the moment, I like this stock like you, but it's just way too early.
Yeah, it is for me
So-
too. I need to see more confirmation.
All right. Well, now for our topic tonight, which is all about the top 5 mining stocks for growth and dividend income in 2024.
This is a really good one, as according to my analysis, you will need to be very strategic with your stock selection in 2024 in order to get the best returns, which means you're in luck, as tonight we will share our thoughts on some of the stocks that will help you to do just that. Before we get into the stocks, what are the things you need to be concerned about most? Should you worry about inflation, interest rates, the Aussie dollar, commodity prices, or which stocks you might buy next year?
Well, that's a lot to be thinking about, mate. Jeez. Are you going to share what you think with everyone and what they should be concerned about?
Maybe. Actually, I'm glad that you asked. It's easy to get caught up in all of the worries about interest rates and other factors you cannot control. Or you can do something more constructive and put some effort into how much you can make. When you stand to make more money, the choice is easy.
Oh, okay. You must have been practicing whilst you're away. As I couldn't have said that better myself, mate. Jeez. Maybe I won't come back after my holiday and let you just run the show. Nah, I'll be back because I love it. Right now, it seems that recently everyone was worried about recessions, and now they're not so sure. But we do know that analyst forecasts do change, and the RBA has rates on hold this month, and this could mean we are likely to be past the peak in inflation. So, are we at the peak? Now, it seems to me that now could be the best time in the past decade to prepare to make money. We have seen commodity prices pull back, and I believe we're getting closer and closer to another run-up in commodity prices.
When you put it like that, it sounds exciting. Can I add how resilient our best mining companies are? What I mean is the biggest, strongest stocks have held their value well, but I do see that the masses are still focused on the fear of things getting worse. So to me, they're missing what's important.
Yeah, you're so right about that. Now, and that is a good thing, as it's time to make money when everyone else is looking the other way. Now, think about it. Our economy was supposed to be in recession, but so far this hasn't occurred, and it's unlikely to occur when so many said it would. Now, instead, our economy is experiencing a soft landing, which to me, as a trader, is a green flag, but the masses are not seeing the opportunity, not just yet. Now, all great traders I know are actually getting really excited right now.
Yep, this one here as well. So I have to admit that I'm starting to get really excited about the sorts of returns mining stocks are likely to deliver in the coming years.
Okay, Pedro, now we know that commodities and mining companies make a huge contribution to the lifeblood of our economy, but according to the World Bank, base metals will fall by around 5% next year and recover in 2025. So, not necessarily good news. Now, after the break for our Talking Well subscribers, we will look at their forecasts for the individual metals.
I'm looking forward to that. The bank could be right about what if they are being too conservative, as we know they do change their minds.
Well, it's great to see you questioning what's popular. I really like that. But our analysis indicates that it could change. Commodities do have potential to make a comeback in 2024. And this means the next stage of the boom is likely to be in full swing in 2025. So what we're saying is be prepared. And that means prepared to get in before everyone else starts getting excited about this area.
I agree. So what you're saying is that you don't want to wait until 2025. Rather, now's the time to learn how to get the most from the next boom and do your research on the stocks now. Dale, I was chatting with the team and found that we've got a special going on. And so I suggest that if you want to learn to trade, to contact us. Tell the staff I'm ready to learn and want to know more about the special offer. The team will look after you, and you never know, I might just be your assessor and your support person.
Well, you're trying to pump up your workload.
That's exactly what I'm doing. I just love working with it and supporting new traders through the course. So yes.
All right, well, getting back to the topic for tonight, the good news is that we expect the opportunities to accelerate into the second half of this decade. So I strongly believe Australia is in a great position to capitalise on the next commodities and mining boom. What we need to be aware of is that historically mining stocks have paid low dividends, and they also provide the best opportunity for growth. Now, while that has changed in recent years, I believe eventually investors will start chasing growth again. So what I suggest everyone do ahead of this is organise yourself with a watch list of good mining companies that you've researched and developed good rules to trade. From there, it's really simple, as all you need to do is wait for your rules to trigger.
Sounds simple. That is, once you've got the knowledge to do that.
Okay, now before you all go off like a rocket, we do recommend being cautious while you wait for stocks to trigger your rules. Now let's look at something interesting from JP Morgan.
Okay, so the article says JP Morgan sees key commodity prices higher in 2024 on demand growth.
Well, what do you think about that?
Oh, well, I mean, they could be right, they could be wrong.
They could be right, they could be wrong. But it's something like that, isn't it? We see these predictions all the time, and sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. So
yep.
To me, it's not so much about taking the call as verbatim, but it's just interesting information to know.
It is.
Because the charts will tell you more than what the predictions will.
Definitely. It's just something to keep in your back pocket, really, and just say, okay, well, that's what they're estimating, but really doing your own research is going to be your deciding factor, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. So what else have we got?
All right. So given iron ore is...
well, we're going to talk a bit about, because iron ore is one of Australia's major exports,
yes.
and we need to see this commodity
rising. Exactly.
Okay. So now we have not seen euphoric buying across our market for years, and a boost to some of our major commodities could mark the start of the next big boom cycle. So you might like this next article. So let's take a look at this one. Now the title of this article reads, Iron ore price poised to hit $150 in 2024 on Chinese stimulus. Analysts say, and here is also a graph that, well, how about we talk about this one, Pedro?
Yeah, sure. So the annual price of seaborne iron ore.
So that's the last 5 years?
That's the last 5 years. And I mean, China is our main trading partner. So it's only natural that we're going to talk about China's demand and what they have a huge, ability to raise and lower the prices.
So if we look at the columns on the right of the screen, you'll see 2023, it's got 99 in the lighter blue and 137 in the darker blue. Mm-hmm. So that's the low and the high that they're talking about. So the lighter blue is the low, the darker blue is the high. But when we look at 2024 estimates, we're looking at 90 for the low and 150 for the high. So they're expecting growth. Now, not as big a growth as what was back in 2021. We saw more there in 2020. We saw there was 175. But that's significant because that's the highest growth since, before COVID.
Yeah, and in 2021, they were spending a lot of money on infrastructure. They were really coming out and trying to stimulate the economy. And they're saying that they're going to do that again, but not on such a large scale as before.
No, because it was a bit overdone before.
It was overdone.
There's plenty of empty cities and shopping centres.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, we've got a housing crisis. We don't have enough people in homes, and they've got too many homes. So
they were all set up to have a big party, but nobody came. So let's move on.
Okay. Well, Dale, as I keep saying, the proof is in the pudding. So it's about time we shared our thoughts on the best mining stocks. Let's start by taking a look at a watch list of the 30 mining stocks.
Okay, so you want to bring that, 30 stocks. Are you serious?
Yeah.
I just heard what you just said. Did Janine put you up to this?
Janine is up to her old tricks again.
30, we're going to be here till Christmas with 30 stocks.
Now, the watch list is of the next 30, but it's not just this time. So it's just a watch list. So relax. I've picked out the best 6 stocks from the list. So let's take a look at them.
All right. So we're going to look at the watch list first, yeah?
Let's have a look at the watch list first. We'll just have a quick overview.
Yeah.
Now we're arranging them by order of market cap.
We've got BHP,
being the largest. We've got Rio, Fortescue. Have a look at these dividend yields. They're looking pretty nice, aren't they?
I'm not used to seeing BHP with a high dividend yield like that.
Yeah, that is strange. And look at Fortescue. I mean, Fortescue naturally normally has a high dividend yield, but 11.5 is pretty good.
So it's pretty good market cap, because if we go to the bottom on market cap, you'll see that's still fairly large market cap right down to that De Grey Mining down there. But look at its P ratio, minus 100.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't pay dividend yield. And then you've got Paladin minus 180, and then you've got Ortico, whatever that is.
Paladin has been a bit disappointing. It's
but its thing is, 132 Liontown minus 132. But
yeah, that's gone for a
this
ride.
one's an interesting one. I know we're going to look at South 32 a little bit later, but look at that. Dividend yield 10.54. That's stunning.
That is.
And look at its minus 53 in its PE ratio. But I'm so watching this stock.
Yeah.
Waiting for the time I can buy it.
Yeah, definitely. You wouldn't be buying just off dividend yield, that's for sure. Now let's get into BHP first.
Okay.
So BHP monthly on the left, weekly on the right. Look how bullish that looks. Look at that last bullish
it's
monthly.
Looking good, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
monthly
looking
bar.
really, really good.
Now the month isn't over yet, but it is looking pretty good. We'll go over to the weekly chart because there's something quite interesting going on there. It's really gone sideways for the last year, pretty much.
Well, it has, since right back through there into that sort of
December
2022. It's really sideways, but it's had a bit of resistance up around this sort of level, hasn't it? So when you see these previous peaks through there, so I think once it gets through that, it's blue sky for BHP. I do really, really like it. But one of the other things I don't mind about it, if you look at the volume here before 2021, 2020, all that, and now it's got slightly more volume through here. But I think there's been a lot of the big end of town just accumulating BHP for a while. I think that's what they're doing. They're just picking it up a little bit, not pushing the price too much. And they do it all the time. But looking at this, a lot of our students will be looking this, and our graduates will be going, ooh.
Yeah, there's a few rules in there.
They'll be salivating like they were eating Tim Tams. Or the double chocolate Tim Tams, they're straight out of the fridge.
Yeah, very specific there, Dale.
Yeah, not that I'm allowed to have them anymore, but I think this is looking really, really nice. And you can get, whilst we can't get a trend line up underneath it, but I do think there's some upside on that. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks now through there, but if we keep moving up for another couple of weeks, I think this will go up for probably 14, 15 weeks straight up through to February, March.
And even challenge that high back in January 2023.
Oh, look, absolutely. I don't have an issue with all of that. But anything else you want to say on it?
Oh, well, I just want to say that BHP, I like the company itself as well. It's very diversified, so it's not going to be very volatile and fluctuate with the prices of certain commodities.
It's one of Janine's favourite stocks.
Yep.
She loves trading this
Janine.
stock. So, and I know a lot of our graduates and students like trading this stock because they can make some really good money over nice shorter time frames. Plus, you won't do your shirt on it.
You won't do your shirt. But it does have enough volatility that you can make good profits from it.
Okay, so what's the next one?
So now we go to Rio, the cousin of BHP. Now
this one's more volatile though, isn't it? The BHP.
Yeah, it's a bit more moody, a bit more volatile. Let's open up the monthly chart because that's where
anything moody. Because I might get into trouble.
Yeah. Now, definitely. I mean, look at these bars here. Now, let's go to the PRP. It can have wild swings, 36% on the downside, but it can also have wild swings to the upside. We've got 47% now lately. Now it's just about to challenge that.
It's a little bit like BHP, isn't it, in that respect?
Yeah, but with the swings a little bit wider than BHP. Now let's zoom into this later move here. It's about to challenge, or it is challenging this high back in February 2023.
128.
And it's actually traded a little bit above it, just above it, and it's looking like it's about to close on the high. So it could be that it either breaks through strongly, or it could meet resistance, maybe pull back a little bit and then pull through.
Well, we're seeing that's 4 months up, so the last 4 bars so far. I mean, currently the last bar on that chart is an unfinished month.
It is. Yep.
December. But the 3 months prior it was up, closed higher than it opened. If you look back to the previous rise, where you've got that 47%, there was 3 months it closed higher, then it reversed the next month.
Yep, exactly,
So,
once it hit that high.
And the one before that, as you can see there, is again 3 and a bit months, and it sort of reversed. So it wouldn't surprise me if we got 1 or 2 down weeks on the stock, but I like it.
One thing that I wanted to point out is this move that it did here. It looks very familiar, not as volatile as this later move, but it did try to challenge that high of, say, 108, came back down, tried to challenge that high again, came back down, tried to challenge that high again, came back down, and then took off strongly above.
So you're saying...
So I'm saying that it's a possibility. Now, if we look at this current move here, it's not a mirror image, but it could be that if it does break through, it should break through with conviction. It's not going to...
Would you swear on the life of your first skateboard?
Well, skateboards, I hate skateboards. I fell off the first time I took one, so yes, I could swear on that. But obviously, nothing is certain in the market.
Do you want to have a quick look at the weekly chart at all? See what's going on there?
Okay. So let's have a look at the weekly chart. Weekly chart, it's traded up many weeks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. And we've got this one. It could have a bit of a pullback.
A couple of weeks down, but look at it. I'd probably be looking at it early January for a possible buy into 2024.
Yep.
I do like it. Well done. That's
Definitely.
a good pick. I'm assuming you picked all these, not Janine.
Well, BHP and Rio Janine, but this next one I'm going to take credit for.
Okay.
CRN. I actually quite like CRN at the moment. So CRN, they're in the coal space, but particularly in the coal space for making iron ore. So if the price of iron ore goes up, this is going to do particularly well.
Is it coal for the furnaces and stuff?
Coal for the furnaces, exactly. It's met coal.
Gotcha.
So let's expand the chart of the monthly. And I've just put a couple of just simple lines there, just a bit of a wedge pattern there. I like it. It's got a good dividend yield. If I can just go quickly back to the dividend yield there. So CRN, it's a little bit on the lower scale of...
it must be down lower.
Yep. Lower.
It's not even on the list.
It's not even on the list. No. Oh, it does have a high dividend yield. I believe it was around the 7%.
Okay.
But I mean, dividend yield plus growth is what you want, right?
So you'd be waiting for what, a breakout of that pattern?
I'll be waiting for a breakout of this downtrend line here. It could break out either way. So I'll be looking at maybe around March next year, February, March, for a sign of a breakout. Now we'll go back to the
So what you're saying
chart.
is, following up and say in the earlier part of this main topic, we said be prepared. So some of these stocks are probably closer to buy, and other ones are a couple of months out possibly.
Exactly, yep. And now's the time to start looking at them and putting your analysis on this, so then you're ready to get those opportunities, because once this goes, it could be running pretty fast. And you know, it's once it goes up, then you'll be wondering whether I buy in or not. Okay.
Well, I often say to people, the best traders I know stalk the market, whereas most traders I find, they don't. They chase the market. It's the opposite way.
Exactly.
And what you're talking about is let's stalk this market by having a look at it all. Anyway,
exactly.
Any last words on Coronado?
Well, just keep an eye on it. It looks like it's trending almost up at the moment, almost up. That's a technical term.
Highly technical.
So let's see if it goes above that 1.785 mark.
Okay, perfect. So let's go on to Northern Star. So that's
Northern Star Resources. This is one that's mostly in the gold.
Yes.
The gold space, right?
And gold's been doing well of late.
Gold's been doing well. Only thing that concerns me here is this gap on the weekly. The gap back in October 2023 of a high of $10.80. It could actually come back down and fill that gap. That's a likely scenario. There is an entry there though. If you were trading mechanically, that you could have justified an entry, but you know, you have to look at many factors, many different analysis.
Well, I'm looking at this. You're saying obviously here's a gap there on the upside. It hasn't filled that one. This gap it didn't fill, and this gap it didn't fill. So it doesn't have to fill the gap.
It could be. Yeah.
So this gap it didn't. It took from that little one there. from that point there, which is April 2022, November 22. So it took a while for it to actually fill that one. But I actually really like this. I think it's beautiful, just nice sort of trending sort of stock. And really, if you look at this and we just put our little tool across here, it came back to sort of roughly a shorter term momentum. So now momentum's changed a little bit. And if we put like a trend sort of line up there, but we just drag that over here. If I can
to see if it's running at the same momentum as it did before.
That. It's still running at the same momentum again, so it could run quite nicely for quite an extended period of time. Now I'm sure if I drag, normally what I do is if I drag this, this sort of trend line across the chart, you'll see it just does it time and time again, and that's pretty normal for a stock. But at this point in time, it has run pretty hard, so that's probably why this week's down a little bit compared to what it was last week. A bit of indecision there, but I like it. I think this is a great little pick. I think people should be looking at this stock. And as you said, there's already a buy signal a few weeks ago on this stock.
That's right. If you're trading mechanically
but it's
now,
not too late. That's the point.
Yeah, exactly. Now, would you say that if the gold price were to go down, would you say that would affect this stock?
It probably will, but it's not unlikely to go down, I don't think, too much, because obviously gold runs when inflation is high, and inflation is not likely to come back too fast. So, but then we're not talking about Australia's inflation, we're talking about world inflation too. The US has come back a little bit with their inflation, whereas ours is just floating slightly downwards.
I believe we're at 5.4.
Yeah, something like that. It's just slowly dropping away, where the US has dropped a lot more than that, but it is a world commodity, gold. It's mined around the world, so it just depends on what's going on, because people are, if they're nervous, they're going to go to gold.
Well, even the reserve banks, I've heard that many reserve banks around the world are starting to buy out. They're buying. Because,
well, we do have an interview I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, we put one up from a gold expert in the US, and this is the guy that actually advises governments on gold and everything else in the US. So very, very smart. So he's on Talking Well. So if they do take up our special offer, they'll be able to. I'm pretty sure I put one of those in the list.
You got to have a gold one in there. That's awesome.
But we'll tell you more about the special offer a little later on. So we've got a stock now.
Okay. Yes. So now let's go on to MIN, Mineral Resources. This is one that actually did quite well. I'll just expand the monthly chart. It did quite well out of the COVID low down here. How much did it rise exactly? So we've got the COVID low back in March 2020. Look at that, 700%.
Wow. Janine used to talk about Min so much, I actually started thinking it was my name.
Oh, was it?
She'd go, Min. I go,
there you go, should have listened to her.
I should have listened to her. And it was, the last couple of years she's been talking about Min all the time. But it's just naturally come back, hasn't it?
It has. It's just taking a bit of a breather maybe, because it is a good company, Mineral Resources. It's actually in that growth space that we're talking about that could experience growth next year. So 42% down. So is nice. That a bear market, 42%?
Well, it is. You'd think it probably might drop a little bit more, but it is in that range of this sort of prior consolidation area here. So it is in the target zone for a low, but I'm not convinced 100% that it is. But let's try and let's put a...
This is another one that you'd stalk. You'd have to...
Oh, look, yeah, absolutely. But if you look at, this, you can see that's the sort of its normal momentum if you sort of pick up some of these peaks and troughs. So it wouldn't surprise me if it came down into this area over the next month, just like reverse down for this month. But again, it's still in that target zone. You'd be expecting a low to happen. But it wouldn't surprise me if it does come down a little bit lower. And it's, again, why we always need to have, well, what if it goes up or what if it goes down?
Exactly. You've got to have both scenarios.
Often on my Monday stock market reports, I'm using these things going, well, if it does that, this is what's going to happen, but if it goes the other way, it's going to do this.
You got to have a plan for both.
You got to have a plan for both. And so to me at the moment, this is a wait and see. And once it starts giving us a bit more of a direction that this is the low, then I have no issues with this stock. I'm going gung-ho into it.
I like it. Let's listen to Janine. Now talking about Janine, in Janine fashion, we've got one extra stock. So we said top 5. We've got a 6th one.
And you've got a 6th one. Janine normally sneaks 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 into
There you go. PLS.
I can't argue with her because she sits too close to me, so she might punch me.
Wouldn't be surprised. So PLS, this is one that's always talked about, with the price of lithium. Whenever you think lithium in Australia, you think PLS. It's another one that's done great. I'll expand the monthly chart. Another one that did great out of the March low. Let's see.
I'm liking Core Lithium.
Oh, Core Lithium, CXO, I believe.
Yeah, I looked at that last week. I'm liking that. But anyway,
Yep.
This is looking good. A little bit weak more recently, but look at this current month's bar. It's really gone to a low and pulled right back. So if this closes high on that bar, I'd get really excited about that.
Yeah. It could follow that same momentum that you were talking about before. So could be a good one.
Well, it could be, but I'm not super. I'm liking lithium, but there's still a bit of.
Bit of indecision there.
I love your stocks.
Beautiful. All right. Well, that's it for our topic for tonight. We've still got plenty of stocks to go through, but before we get into these, for those watching on YouTube, you can watch all of tonight's show plus the exclusive content on talkingwealth.com. The members-only bonus content includes our in-depth approach to lots more stocks and answers to questions. The big bonus is that you get to watch Dale's weekly Australian stock market report, where he shares his view on the market and where opportunities may arise. You also gain access to hundreds of amazing interviews with industry experts around the globe. Give yourself a great Christmas present and subscribe now. Or you can also secure your free 7-day subscription by visiting talkingwealth.com.
Now, Pedro, last week we mentioned that we would be announcing something special for those who are not Talking Wealth subscribers, and we do that as a special Christmas present.
That's right. So here, our Christmas present to you. As you know, this is our last show for the year, but we have created a special free membership on Talking Wealth for those who are not yet subscribed.
Now, I've curated some of my favourite interviews and put these into a free subscription. Now, this also includes full episodes of this show and shows like this in the past month, plus several of my weekly stock market reports. Now, I've also added interviews of experts such as the golden currency expert that I mentioned, who's called Dana Samuelson. And as I mentioned, these have been personally selected by me for all of you.
Now, to gain access to this free subscription, all you need to do is simply click on the link in the description down below on YouTube and supply your name and email address.
Now, you can keep your credit card in your pocket, as there is absolutely nothing to buy and it's totally free. Now, this free membership will only be available for a very, very short time, so do it as soon as tonight's show is finished, or you may miss out. All you need to do is click the link below this video in the description.
Now, moving on, we'll get into some more questions. So now is your time to pick up your phone and give us a call on 03 9290 9988. That's 03 9290 9988. Or you can text the number on your screen now. Whilst we wait for your call, let's get into our next email.
Now it's time we get into this next question, as Pedro said, which is from a good-looking dude called Jake. Now, he says, "Hi guys, love your channel. Can you please look at the charts for Life 360? I'm looking to see if it's a good time to buy this strong growth stock that is performing well within the company. Now, I don't currently own it. Greatly appreciated." So let's have a look at Life 360. Doesn't own it. What do we think?
Doesn't own it. Okay, Life 360. This was actually one of your hot stock tips about a year ago. Yeah.
No, it's been my hot stock tip twice. It was my hot stock tip back in here.
Yep.
Before it took off like this, and then I think it was either late last year or early this year that I picked it, something like that, early this year, and said let's go for it, because it has done really, really well.
At the moment, I don't like it.
Why not?
Those bars are just not doing much for me. This is a monthly chart. No, I mean, it's tried to go up above that $9 level up there. What is that? $9.50.
$9.50.
Twice, 3 times, got rejected, closed near the low, and now this down bar here.
How many times did your wife reject you before she went out with you?
Well, I'm pretty persistent myself.
That means you shouldn't keep trying. I still like, this is a monthly bar chart, so it has come down, and we can see here that it's pulled down about 29-30%, so it's right in the target zone for a pullback. And if we see here from this one, it's also pulled down about 40% through here, so not as big a fall as this, but I think I like this stock right at the moment. So if we go into the weekly chart, way too early to buy. Absolutely way too early to buy.
No.
But this one sits on my watch list. So I think at the moment we've had several weeks down, as you said, pushed up, tried to get through this 950 area through here. Hasn't been able to do it. I just think it's getting pretty close, but keep it on the watch list. So,
yep.
Right, so now we've got a text, Pedro, I think.
Okay, so a text from Anne. CSL looks like it's moving up. Is it a buy or should you wait for a pullback?
Okay.
Right,
Is it a buy or wait for a pullback, Pedro?
Is it a buy or goodbye, as you would say?
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, waiting for a pullback, there needs to be a reason why you would wait for a pullback. That saying, I know many people wait for a pullback and they're thinking that it may be because they want to buy it cheaper.
Yeah.
But I would like to know the reasoning why you would want to wait for a pullback. I mean, that's
part of it.
That's part of it. It looks like it's overheated at the moment. It's how many bars up is that?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bars
six
up.
Bars up.
19%.
And 19%. I'd be expecting a bit of a pullback. And
well, I would be too. I mean, obviously we've got a gap here a few weeks back from there, but at this point in time, it's not a buy to me. It's run pretty hard because generally when you see a run this hard, you'll get a re-evaluation of that. So people jumping in possibly on news or something else.
Yeah.
But then you'll get it drifting down a little bit. So I want to see a bit of a downward move. It's like putting your foot down on the step to get the leverage to go to the next step.
That's right.
So I want to see it put its foot down and prove to us that it's going up, or whether this is a false trigger.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what I'm thinking at the moment. But I do like the stock. It is on my watch list though.
Yeah, CSL is one of those. That's one of those big stocks that.
All right, well, let's get on to our next text. This one is from Daryl. So if you can bring up ADH, Pedro, we'll go and have a look at that. So Daryl's asking us to looking for medium to long term. He's not holding it at the moment, so let's go and have a look at this stock. Man, a fair few words is Daryl too.
Yeah.
We've had a few of them at the moment.
So Adairs, they're listed on the market now. You know Adairs, the clothes store.
They're closed. I think they're in not in homewares, isn't it? Adairs. Do you buy your clothes at Adairs? I need to see your wardrobe. You
can see how much shopping I do.
You might have some really, really nice, like what do you call them?
The
dressing gowns and things.
Yeah,
and
the curtain blinds, right?
And blinds. So.
That's an interesting pattern that we see here, isn't it?
It is looking good.
Although it is looking good, it's come off this low of $1.20, say.
Yeah.
How much has it risen from there? It's risen 40 cents. Yeah,
it's
50 cents.
fairly fast moving.
Fast moving. Yeah. Now I'd like to have a look at the weekly chart to really have a look. It's gone up to fill that gap. Now it could have just been a reaction just to fill that gap. I like this
stock at the moment. That's looking good.
It could come down.
I need to do a bit of price analysis and stuff on it.
You need to do a price analysis, but
it's been so bearish for the last few years, so that would worry me that this is just because it's been so bullish so many times over the last couple of years, looking like it's taking off and then it's reversed.
Yep, exactly.
To me, I think I need a little bit more confirmation, but I do like it. I think it's exciting. So I think Daryl, man, a few words is onto something at the moment, but
he could be.
Now, Pedro, we've got another phone caller on the line. So welcome to the Australian Stock Market Show. You're on with Dale and Pedro. Have I got Matt there?
Yeah, Dale, how are you?
Welcome to the show, Matt. It's good to have you on. What's your question for us tonight?
I want to talk about A2 Milk because I think it's kind of just broke a trend line.
Yep.
And I've been watching or stalking, as you said earlier tonight. I've been stalking AKE, and I think that's broken a trend line only by 1 week though.
Yeah, Allcam's been sort of up and down the last couple of months, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
A2 Milk, I just think is more of a. I just think the media jumped all over it when it started to run last time, and I just think people will jump into it again once it starts to go off again.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I agree with you. Actually, just the other day, Thursday, I was a guest on Money Magazine's podcast, which I'm not even sure it's out yet, but when I said A2 Milk, they all sort of looked stunned on their face. Because it's sort of like, A2 Milk, hasn't it fallen so heavily? That's sort of the vibe I got, but I'm really liking it at the moment. So you're looking short, medium, long term?
Yeah, probably medium.
Okay.
As I said, I've been watching it for like 6 months, just waiting and waiting and waiting.
So have I.
Yeah, it's finally got 2 closes above a trend line. So
Yeah.
It hasn't triggered anything else yet, but yeah, it's pretty close.
Perfect. All right, well, Pedro's got it up, so thanks for calling in, Matt.
Cheers, Matt.
Cool.
So Matt's talking like one of our students, so he knows what he's talking about. Too close is above a trend line. So
you're not saying he guessed on that?
Definitely not. He sounds like he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, but this week's close is not finalised yet.
It's not finalised yet. I was going to say that. I've got the weekly chart up. I've put the downtrend line that he's talking about there. It has broken above it.
I'm really liking this stock at the moment.
I like it. If you were trading mechanically, you could justify an entry. Although,
if it closes higher this week, I would.
If it closes higher,
especially if it closes above the high of last week.
If it does, yep. It's got this gap. Talking about gaps, like before, it's got that gap to fill up at $4.80. So that could be its next possible target. It has gone lower than the previous low, though. So $3.90 was that previous low.
Yep.
And now we've got the low of $3.70, 20 cents. Maybe not too worried about that. But if we go back, it's easy to have a look to see this short-term movement there, medium term, and then think, okay, it could be finding support. But don't forget, we've got all this price action before here. It could actually come down and trade back to those levels.
It could, but let's have a look at the monthly chart. And this is what I was looking at the other day with people, but having a look at that, you can see this beautiful trending type of stock, and it does do very, very well. But as you said, this low is, below all of that. But when you put this little tool on and you look at that low, that's down 81% from its high. So to me, it's either hit the bottom or it's so close to it.
Could be
about
another.
More often than not, you'll maximum you'll see generally a stock goes 90%.
Yep.
So generally between sort of 75 and 90% is when I really start to get excited about it. And and that's probably why we've got the call on this one too.
Yep.
For that same reason. If he's one of our students, he'll definitely know what we're looking at here. But you are right. I want to see a little bit more because that moved down, and we can see there that's from June 2020. And obviously we're 3.5 years down the track from that. So now it's in the time and price ranges for me to look at this looking like it's good. So
bit of analysis.
Probably I just want to see a little bit more just
Not
in
yet.
case.
Yep.
And make sure you have a stop loss on it, absolutely.
Yep, good work, Matt.
Cool.
All right, so moving on. Remember to hit that like button and show your support for our channel by clicking subscribe. It helps to spread the message of how crucial getting the right education is.
All right, and if you want to chat to us, call now on 0392909988. Pedro, I'd love to talk to you. Or if you're a little bit shy, you can SMS your question to the number on your screen. Now we have a question from Les. He says, Dear Dale and Pedro, I am currently in a trade with Santos, which I entered on the 27th of September and placed a stop loss 15% below my buy price. Now, I came very close to being stopped out, but that hasn't happened yet. Today, the announcement that Santos may merge with Woodside has seen its share price rocket up quite a bit and has taken me now well away from that stop loss. I will admit that with hindsight and further education, being Dale's books, I should not have even entered the trade. All part of my learnings. The question I have now is, whilst still carrying a small loss on paper and now well away from my stop loss, should I stay in the trade? Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Les.
All right, Les.
So, what do you think? So he did enter way too early.
Yeah. Santos has been one of those disappointing stocks that has just trended sideways for like almost 10 years now. It's look at that. Since 2008, or not 10 years, 5 years. Yeah, my maths is out.
You only need one hand for that. You don't even need to take your shoes and socks off.
So, yeah, for 5 years, it's really just done nothing. And I know that announcement came out the other day, but it was only talks. There's nothing on paper.
Yeah.
There's nothing being formalised or anything. So it could be that it's just an initial market reaction.
Yeah.
So I'd be a bit wary. If it hasn't triggered your stop loss, you just stay with it.
You stay with it. So let's go back to the weekly chart and have a bit of a look at that. So here's what's happened last week. It shot off like a rocket. It's holding up.
It's holding up.
So he's got a 15% stop loss on it, which was great that he had that. Would you suggest he adjust that now? I'm saying stay with it too.
Oh, for sure.
While it's moving up, stay with it. But, again, last week it went to that low of 657. It's below all of these lows.
Yeah.
So that to me is an exit straight away.
Yeah.
When you get into those sorts of realms, because it is downtrending. But look, Les, if you get any higher troughs through here, just keep moving your stop loss up. But I think you're doing well at the moment.
Yep.
Yes, you've entered in the wrong time, but look, I wouldn't get out at the moment because you might see it move up a little bit more. But if it starts to move down, I'd just be exiting.
Yep.
I think that's what I'd be
Yeah,
doing.
draw a line in the sand.
I think just draw a line in the sand.
Draw a line in the sand.
To me, you're not going to get a technical exit at the moment.
Yep.
So to me, it's just about draw that line in the sand of what price. If it trades through that, just jump out.
You could be in better trending
And
stocks than this.
come back later when you've had a little bit more education. How's that?
Yeah, yep, good point.
Which is good. So thanks, Les, for sending in your email.
Thanks, Les. Now, I do hope we have helped you tonight. So remember to show your support for us by commenting below this video after the show, because we'd love to hear your favorite part. Also, give us a big thumbs up and help us to discover new people and show these videos. Now,
if you've not taken up our free Talking Wealth Christmas bundle, our Christmas present to you, do it right now by clicking the link in the description on YouTube. It only takes about 30 seconds, just your name and email address, and you'll get to watch the next 30 minutes of our live stream, this very show, tonight for free. For Talking Wealth subscribers, you need to stay tuned for our bonus content. We've got a few more emails to answer, so we'll see you on the other side. Thank you for supporting us this year. We do appreciate all the emails, texts, and calls that we get from you. We'll be back with some surprises in a new studio, with a new set, and a new show in 2024. So make sure you put the 16th of January in your diary to be part of the action. Now, whilst we won't be here for a month, that doesn't mean you can't email us, as we'll answer your questions in our first show for 2024. Show your support for the team that puts in a lot of effort into bringing this show to you. Give them a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. That way you will know when we're back. As always, thank you for joining us. Merry Christmas, goodbye, good luck, and good trading.